Hey everyone, welcome to Pita's Kitchen. Today let's bake pita bread, an eggless version. Pita is a soft puffed up flatbread widely used in Middle Eastern and Mediterranean cuisines. The combination of freshly baked pita pockets with hot falafel and hummus is one of my all-time favorite dishes. So let's get started. So the first step is to take 2 cups of all-purpose flour and half a cup of whole wheat flour, and I've taken about a teaspoon of salt. The reason to take whole wheat flour is to get a good consistency, and when you roll out, the rolling out is easier. Now I've also taken a tablespoon of sugar, out of which I've added a teaspoon of sugar to my instant yeast for it to bloom. I've taken about 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, and in this recipe we require 1 cup of warm water. Make sure your water is warm. So from this water I've taken about 2 tablespoons of water and added to my 2 teaspoons of yeast and a teaspoon of sugar. Now most of the recipes they add the instant yeast directly to the flour, and I don't like to do that. I like to bloom my instant yeast also just to see if it is active or not. Most of the time if your yeast is not active, the entire flour or the dough goes waste because it does not rise when you're proofing. So this is a good step just to make sure that your yeast is of good quality and still working. In case your yeast does not bloom after 5 minutes of keeping it in water, warm water, then you need to throw the yeast completely and use a fresh yeast with water and sugar. Sugar helps in yeast feeds on the sugar, so that is why you need the sugar. All right, so and make sure that the water is lukewarm. Too hot water kills the yeast. Cold water will not activate your yeast at all. All right, so let's start. I'm adding rest of the sugar to my flour. My yeast has bloomed, you can see. So the yeast is of good quality. It's still working. I will add the yeast to this. All right, there it goes. I'm using extra virgin olive oil since it's a Mediterranean cuisine, so I'm adding the flavor of olive oil, about 1.5 tablespoons. We'll mix this nicely. Now we will add the warm water gradually. Now the water quantity in your dough I have specified as 1 cup, out of which we also used a little bit, 2 tablespoons for our yeast. But the amount of water that is used in making a dough, any recipe, depends on the weather conditions at the place where you're staying. If the weather is too humid, you might require less water because there's too much of moisture in the air. And if you're living in a drier place, then you would require a little bit more water. This will give you a wet dough when you're combining the dry ingredients completely and when you add water. So don't get scared. You have to keep kneading. Once it comes into a ball, keep kneading, bring it to a flat surface and knead it for about 10 to 12 minutes. I'll just show you. So I'm going to add water gradually. So brought it down to a surface now, and I want to knead it for 10 minutes. I'm using a little bit of flour. I've taken about half a cup, but I'm going to use very little flour gradually, just to, if it sticks to my hands. In case it is hot, then I'll just continue kneading it like that. Right now it looks all right. It's not sticking much, but it needs kneading. So let's start the kneading. So you can see it's come down to a very soft dough. It was not a very sticky dough, just a little bit. There's nothing on my hand, you can see. Now how do you know your dough is ready? Just make a dent. If it bounces back, it is all right. So now this is ready for our first proofing. You can see I used very little flour just for dusting in case it was sticking. In case if it doesn't stick, then you know, don't even need to use it. So now the bowl that we started our kneading. I will grease this bowl nicely so that it can give no resistance to our dough when it is proofing and it will rise as well. We'll proof this in a warm place, whichever is a warm place in your kitchen. Leave it there for at least 2 hours till it doubles in volume. I will also put some oil on the top so it doesn't stick. Just use a cling film on the top, or you can also use a towel to cover this. First proofing for 2 hours. So it's been 2 hours. It has doubled in volume. First thing is we'll degas it, punch it down so that all the bubbles, the gas are released from the dough. So knead it again for at least 2 minutes. After kneading for 2 minutes, just divide your dough into equal size balls. I've divided them into 9 equal size balls from 56 to 57 grams each. We will roll them into roti or chapati size. Not too thick and not even very thin. So I have already rolled into a chapati size. I'm flouring my work surface where I'm going to keep all these rolled out discs, because we need a second proofing of 30 minutes. I'll show you how it is. Like you can see, it is just like a roti. Just look in my chapati video. The link will be in the description. Just make similar size, 6 to 7 inches diameter and just thin like a chapati. Now I'm going to keep this. Let's do the same with the rest. So I've rolled out all of them. Just make sure that your work table is dusted. And we will leave them with a kitchen towel on the top and leave it for 30 minutes for second proofing. So let's start cooking the pita right now. I've taken a skillet on a high heat. Just heat up your skillet. Just drop some water, and when you see it goes like that, the pita, the one which is the side is up, when we have been proofing it, the side up goes on the skillet. That's the one that touches the surface of the hot skillet. You can see bubbles coming up. It's the moisture in the dough. Between the layers, the steam comes in when the moisture evaporates. That's when it creates a pocket. Again, let's put water on our skillet. I'll just drop a few drops of oil. The pita doesn't burn. Then to the side that has been proofing, the one side which is up, that touches the surface of the hot skillet. Let's take this out. It has puffed up nicely. Again. So these are all done. You can see I've cut a few for you to show you the pockets formed by them. Here. So they puff up very nicely. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching.